There are a lot of schools around the United States and around the world that have public policy and public affairs in their title, but I gather this is the only one that has citizenship in its title, and that is not an accident. George Maxwell did not put citizenship ahead of public affairs because C comes before P in the alphabet. He did it because it was the primary object of this school as he saw it when he founded it. And that is a very important principle that needs to be embraced by everyone and truly to understand it. As Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis once said, the most important political office is that of public citizen. He was not wrong. Justice Brandeis and George Maxwell knew that in a constitutional republic such as the one in which we live, a system in which citizens are given that extraordinary right to choose their leaders, if we don't have citizen participation, we don't have the kind of government that we want. That this is kind of a government that depends on that citizen participation. We hear a lot of talk today about Americans' rights as citizens, and of course protecting those rights is one of the primary duties of our government. We do not, however, hear enough talk about citizens' duties. And when people fail to meet those duties from their citizenship, a government of, by, and for the people is in jeopardy. Here in the United States, in last year's presidential election, as hotly contested an election as I can remember, only about 56% of those eligible to vote went to the polls. In one of the most consequential elections in decades, barely more than half of those eligible went to the polls. And think of what that means. Fewer than 6 out of 10 bothered to vote. And since the election was close, that means that fewer than half of those who did vote voted for the person who is president today. So that means only about 30% of the eligible electorate elected the 45th president of the United States. That's pathetic. In my mind, that's an embarrassment. It's a disgrace. We need to embrace the meaning of citizenship and try to advance its goals, not just for ourselves, but for the larger community in which we live. And if that means registering to vote and getting others to register to vote, then that's what we must do. If it means volunteering in our communities to strengthen our civic life and get others to do the same, that's what we need to do. And if it means tempering our rhetoric and actually listening to people with whom we disagree and hearing them, then that's what we have to do. And finally, if that means picking a party, even a party with which you don't agree completely, to help us restore the sensible center, then we need to start identifying with parties and taking on the extremes in those parties. Because we as citizens not only hold the most important job in a republic and the most important office in the land, we have an obligation to leave our nation, no matter which nation you call home, greater and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us. That's your motto. That should be the motto of the nation. And I thank you very much for inviting me to be here today.